Do.
Good morning, college baseball fans. I was just getting my TV situated for the beginning of today's action with UNCG playing Georgia Southern, the alleged host. Uh, Mark, you aren't wearing your winter coat anymore, which means you are not in Goss Stadium right now.
No, beard's off. Beard's
Yeah,
off.
don't know what that's all about. How was your experience last night?
I got to regrow the playoff beard after that one. I mean, that was brutal. Thank goodness for walk-off walks. I mean, who didn't see that one coming, guys? 8 straight balls to give the Beavs a walk-off win. Just a brutal night. Cold, rainy, not fun, but 2 good pitching performances. Cooper Jerpy threw a 2-hitter, doesn't get the win. Mejia comes in and he throws 124 pitches and just plays his heart out throwing on the mound. He was just out of gas there by the 8th inning. So good efforts, though. Good game, really, for what we were hoping to see a little more from the Beavs. But good.
Jake, rumor has it you were at Bluebell Park yesterday pouring beer on ice cream. I don't know if that's true, but how were the Aggies last night?
I was unfortunately not there. I got my times a little mixed up, so I had to watch it from home. But I had a source who was on the scene who said it was pretty electric. They had Aggie Alley going. I don't know if you saw that bomb that Boast hits to kind of open it up, but it was a lot closer game than the score kind of let on. But really excited for the game against Alex. You're going to have to help me. Is it Louisiana, Lafayette?
So they like to pretend that they're Louisiana, but it's Louisiana Lafayette.
Just go the Raging Cajuns. You're always safe.
The Bobby Boucher School. We're really looking forward to that one. They had a late night last night with TCU where TCU tried their hardest to, choke the game away, and they ended up doing it. But really excited to see kind of those two teams, and just love the storyline of A&M facing their coach's team that they stole them, and then not even making it to the winners bracket side. Great storyline there.
Just terrific.
And Alex, of course, a big night from you. But first, let's talk about AJ's. AJ, what have you been doing? You have no team in the postseason.
Yeah, well, I actually went to see probably the best 2 hitters in a single game matchup yesterday in Kevin Parada and Zach Neto. It was the ball coming off of their bats was amazing. Parada, I think he hit a line drive back up the middle that moved the pitcher's mound back 6 feet, and Zach was hitting lasers all over the ballpark. He hit a ball that you couldn't even review if it was a home run because it was like 40 feet over the foul pole. It was insane. He put a dent in center field. He flew out to the warning track when he caught one off the end. It was just the balls flying around the yard during the day at Lindsey Nelson yesterday was insane.
And Alex, have you pulled your kids out of bed and talked to them about what happened last night?
Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch what happened last night. My mom's in town, and so I had to go hang out with her last night. But I didn't get to watch it. But I was listening to it on the radio as I was leaving dinner. That's when the 8th inning started, and so I was listening to it on the radio, and it was awesome. I mean, somebody posted the greatest comebacks in LSU postseason history, and that tied for the greatest comeback in postseason history with 97 against South Alabama in the regionals.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall watching Mario watch that game yesterday. See what happened there. So that would have been quite interesting. Shout out Mario, but wow, I mean, 8th inning comeback like that's got to feel pretty good for LSU.
10 runs on 7 hits in the 8th inning. I mean, insane.
Yeah.
Thanks for the 5-3 passes, Kennesaw State.
Walks kill you, especially in this tournament. Can't give away free passes. Like I said, Cooper Jerpy gave up 3 runs last night on 2 hits because he hit 2 batters and he walked 1. So that's it. He gave five total bases he gave up, and he gave up 3 runs. So insane.
Yeah, I mean, LSU got to the Kennesaw State's first starter. They threw their number 2 lefty because they figured, LSU struggled with lefties, so we'll throw a lefty. And LSU got to him, and then instead of going to their bullpen, they brought in their ace. And he shut LSU down for most of that game, but then he kind of ran out of gas, and they didn't have anything else left in the bullpen.
No, and that's one thing we reviewed this week when we were looking at it, that Kennesaw State, they had 2 frontline lefties that were decent. Nothing past that. Their bullpen is empty, so they're going to have a hard time here.
Yep.
Well, with all that chalk, there was some craziness last night, but a lot of chalk means great matchups today in the winners brackets of every regional, it seems. Mark, why don't you take us on a
On a little tour here. Let's go. Well, we're going to start off easily. Number 1, Tennessee took care of business 10-0 against Alabama State. Anything surprise you in that one there, Jake?
I would say just kind of the competitiveness of Alabama State. I think everybody kind of expected them to, just be a wash and get blown out, kind of like how Coppin State did. And the game was a lot more competitive, kind of than the score led on. And then there at the end, Tennessee kind of blew it open with some home runs. But Alabama State really surprised me. They showed a lot of fight. And then today, I think that's the game I'm most excited for, is that Tennessee Campbell game. Both two teams that can hit really, really good. It'll be really interesting to see kind of how those two, shades of orange play today.
Yeah, we're all excited for that one. I don't know, AJ, are you going back down for that one, or are you staying home?
I am not. I drove 8 hours total yesterday, so I'm just going to be watching from home today. But yeah, talking with some of the Campbell fans in the stands yesterday, they are pumped. They have a guy who sits 94, 96, can touch 99 going on the bump today. They managed to save all their bullpen arms, their trusted guys, for today as well. They're kind of thinking, this is the best shot they're going to have to take down Tennessee. So they're pumped for it.
Everybody gives Tennessee their best shot. Alex, that being an LSU guy, you've got to deal with that a lot. Do you think that Campbell has enough to come out here and give fire to this Tennessee squad?
I mean, they're going to make it interesting. I mean, I think they're gonna push Tennessee, but I don't think in the end they're going to have enough. But I mean, I would love to see it. I'd love to see them, beat Tennessee. But I mean, I would expect a lot of home runs. I mean, this is the home run regional.
Yeah,
I mean, you got some of the best hitters in the country all impacted into a small ballpark.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Georgia Tech taking on Alabama State in the losers bracket there. There's still some firepower in there. Any news, Noah, from the Evan kid from Tennessee? I saw some false reports from ESPN come out, and that's turning real ugly. I mean, all I heard is he had a little sickness, and then some people are reporting wrong things. Anybody heard anything else?
Well, there were about 3 different stories going. One of which was that was the PED use, which started from friend of the program, David Martz, who's an Arkansas fan. So it completely spiraled. He changes his Twitter profile picture to the whatever logo he wants to start a rumor about. And then for some reason, it always does well. It always explodes. They usually do spaces when these kind of things go out, and they act like fans from these other teams. It's great. Arkansas Twitter is really, really interesting. And then I don't know how ESPN just kind of took it and ran with it on that call. They are Arkansas guys that were kind of calling that game, but, hey, good for them.
Yeah.
Then the second story that was out for maybe like 5 minutes was that he was dealing with a family issue, and it was going to be, to be determined when he would come back. And I think that died down pretty quickly when Tony Vitello said he was sick this morning. We're going to let the team doctors handle it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something more to it, but it is very unlikely to be PED use, and nobody at our level should be saying that, and then nobody on ESPN should be speculating like that when there's nothing substantiated about it.
No, you better have facts in your hand from multiple sources that tell you that, especially if you're going to call it out on national air. So I'm sure that those guys are getting reprimanded today. But
Noah, did you see the thing how he got locked in a walk-in fridge doing
That
an
was
NIL deal? That one was funny. That one made me laugh.
I mean, here's the thing with all the HIPAA laws now, coaches, nobody can say anything when people get sick or hurt. They have to keep it really close to the chest, So I understand not saying anything and just saying, hey, team doctors are handling it. That's the right way to go about it. Tony V did the right thing. So them coming out today against Campbell is going to be really exciting. When we look at that bracket here, anybody got anybody other than Tennessee? Everybody Tennessee across the board?
I think Campbell has a real shot, depending on how long their starter stays in. If both starters can go 6 and it's a competitive game, then I give Campbell a shot in that game. I find it hard to pick against Tennessee still, but yeah. I don't think Campbell's going to be a pushover.
I would assume that Tennessee is going to go Dallander today, but that would be my guess.
I think they beat him today. But
seeing a couple aces
Tennessee
here would be
through. I think they got them today. Cause I mean, I think they're still kind of gonna overlook the Camels, and the Camels are really good. But I think Tennessee rolls back through and still wins the regional. But today, I think is the Camels' day.
All right, so we got a couple Camel fans hoping. I think Tennessee still rolls in this one. I think that they're just so much better on both sides of the ball. I think it's a great story for Campbell to get that win yesterday, but I think that's pretty much where their season's gonna end here.
I was just gonna say Campbell hasn't seen a pitcher like Chase Dolander, and it occurred to me yesterday that the committee has set up another storyline for us if Tennessee and Georgia Southern advances, because Chase Dolander is a transfer from Georgia Southern. So we should have known that they were going to be the 16th seed. That's
on us.
last night.
We're
Sounds like
usually
they-
ahead of the thing, looking at all those crazy NCAA committee choices, so that's definitely on us.
Sounds
Speaking
like
of-
Georgia Southern should have been the 2 seed at the Tennessee regional.
Well, at least they're finally going to be hosting today, so at least they'll get their game in.
They're underway.
Yeah.
It's happy right now.
Looking at the number 2 seed here, Stanford, they went down 1-0, and then that was basically it for Binghamton after that point. Stanford just looked like Stanford should look, winning 20-7. And then the other side there, UCSB losing 3-7 to Texas State. Noah, what surprised you most here in these 4 teams?
Nothing too astonishing. Stanford is, of course, one of our certified wagons, whereas Texas State and UCSB was kind of a great game, but Texas State really poured it on in one big inning and separated themselves. I thought UCSB might win that game just because Texas State's kind of far away from home, whereas UCSB is not.
Yeah.
A lot of Texas State fans in that stadium was probably the most surprising thing for me. They had a good contingent on hand. They could give Stanford some trouble because Stanford fans are too busy reading and doing math to attend baseball games.
Yeah, they're studying. They just finished up finals, so now they're all going to grad school. The 20 from Stanford, was that just impressive, AJ? I mean, they gave up 7, but they really didn't throw anybody yesterday. They kept all of their arms out of the game.
Yeah, I think you look at the 7 they gave up, and you're kind of just chalk it up to they threw their back end guys. They didn't throw their main guys. I think the 20, when they gave up 1 and they went, oh, okay, and then they scored 10. Like they were, that offense has the ability to click. We've seen it, and it was the offense we expected against that Binghamton pitching staff.
Yeah, and Alex, we're looking at that. The 20 runs comes off of just a couple home runs. They only hit 3 home runs, really. The rest of that offense was done by singles, doubles. That was more surprising to me. Do you think that they come out with a little bit more long ball here against Texas State today?
I don't know. I mean, they haven't. I mean, Stanford certainly hit their fair share of home runs, but that hasn't necessarily been their whole game.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they'll just continue to do what they do. String hits together and get the occasional home run.
Yeah, that's fair. Jake, does Texas State have the offense to come in here and give Stanford troubles?
I think they do. The only problem is Texas State's going to probably have to run through a lot of Stanford's good pitching going forward. But just from like a school standpoint, this is like the tale of 2 schools. You have Texas State, probably the biggest party school in Texas, going against Stanford, the most casual fan base in the country. Texas State fans, I guess, the Texas tickets were sold out, so they had to, actually be fans of their own school. But that's the game I think I'm really excited for today, especially in that kind of late window when everybody's dying down, is Texas State beat Arizona earlier in the year and gave a whole bunch of teams a lot of trouble. So that's not just going to be a pushover 2-game seed.
Yeah, they're definitely not afraid of the moment, I don't think, but they are going to against the Pac-12 pitcher of the year, who beat out Cooper Jerpy for the spot. So look out. That one's going to be pretty tough to score runs there. I think it's just too much Stanford, too much firepower. I don't see them really having much trouble with Texas State, but Texas State is not afraid of anybody. They went horns down on Texas. They went and beat Arizona early in the year, so they're not.
Anybody have any information on if the Texas State fans are trying to get the bullpen guys drunk?
If they're handing them beers to the lowdown.
Flasks.
Tradition travels. I assume that they are.
I don't think Stanford would bite for it. I think they probably.
They got to hide it in like a calculus book or something.
I was laughing last night as I was going to the game because right in front of me they gave out some of the student tickets for San Diego. So like 6 or 7 of the San Diego kids came up and were able to watch after the evening game. And somebody was like, "Go buy them some beers." I'm like, "They're not gonna take beers from you, you idiot." It's good stuff though. It's funny when fans think that stuff. Speaking of the Corvallis Regional, Oregon State sneaks out with a walk-off walk, 8 straight balls against New Mexico State. Mejia probably had a bigger crowd support than Cooper Jerpy got with the walk-off there when he left the game. Pretty good to see, home fans cheering for a visiting player like that. Great effort. And then the other game, Vanderbilt 2, San Diego 3. San Diego scored their first run without having a hit. What is happening to Vanderbilt, Alex?
I mean, they just continue their spiral downward. I mean, if you look back, last series of the regular season against LSU, they get absolutely demolished by the Tigers in 3 games, and then they go 1-2 in Hoover, and I believe, didn't they throw Holton last night? Carter Holton?
They threw the race, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that's just not a Vandy team we're used to seeing. If it's not Enrique Bradfield, then that offense doesn't move.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too. Mounts for San Diego shut down all the lefties on that whole team for Vandy. They did not put the ball in play. They had their 2 runs were off of 2 solo shots, which were big home runs, but when you don't have anybody on base, you're not doing anything. Enrique Bradfield only got on 1 time. AJ, does Vandy have a chance here coming back against New Mexico State this morning or 1 o'clock?
I better hope for them that they just blow the doors off New Mexico State and kind of get right and everybody has a good day. Because if they don't, you look at the stat line yesterday for them, 2 runs on 5 hits, 2 errors. Like, anytime your runs and errors are the same, and it's not like they left a ton of guys on base. They just weren't getting on base.
Yeah.
And, that's a lineup up and down. It's draft. Players are going to be going in the draft. Either this year or next year. They're all prospects. It's not like they're struggling guys you expect to, get 5 hit by San Diego. So if I'm a Vanderbilt fan, I am extremely frustrated in this offense because Connor Holton goes out and gives you 6 innings, a 2-run ball. Vandy should put up more than 2.
Yeah.
So I'm frustrated if I'm a Vanderbilt fan, and I hope for them to be able to stick around a little bit because it's fun when that lineup clicks. It's fun to watch Enrique Bradfield go, but when he goes 0 for 3 at the top, they really struggle.
Yeah, and I was there, and people are like, "Oh, it was rainy." It was not rainy at all during that game. That first game, there was no rain. It was good weather. It was 55, but deal with it. Come out and play ball. It's overcast. It's ready to go. Looking at the other side of that, last night, the last game going there, Jake. How much Oregon State did you get to watch there?
I watched one batter, Mark, and I'll let you guess which one it was. And it was the one where he rang that double in and then took his hat off. So I was like, I can't watch. I was like, I'm bad luck with Oregon State. So I followed it on the StatCast because that was the only batter I watched was that guy who did the ring and double. But Cooper Jerpy looked really, really good, but he did Cooper Jerpy things. But, you have to be really surprised that you're facing San Diego today instead of Vanderbilt because I think you were almost kind of looking ahead as Oregon State in that game because it just seemed like they almost didn't want to be there. It was kind of like it had a very midweek vibe, even though Cooper Jerpy pitched. But that's going to be a very, very exciting game with Oregon State and San Diego. And then on the other side with Vandy, it's just Vandy with fraudulent behavior that we've seen all year from them, that they've kind of just been propped up. They got exposed last night by a team that played a lot better than them.
That is what I was trying to tell fans around. They're like, "Oh, Vanderbilt's here." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not the Vandys. It's Vandy in name only, really. That doesn't feel like a competitive Vandy team." You didn't even see Tim Corbin really getting fired up at all that his guys were making errors in that first inning and just not really competing. It's really just impressive the fact that San Diego stayed with their game plan. Those guys from 5 minutes before the first inning, they were fired up and they didn't stop one time. Noah, what's your big takeaway from this one here?
Yeah, just Vanderbilt, we were kind of saying all year, maybe they're gearing up for the postseason. It's here and they still haven't really clicked. What are they gearing up for? Golf? I don't know. But, it's going to be a good one between Oregon State and San Diego. I think San Diego kind of has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, overlooked in the regional, even overlooked in their own conference all year long. But Oregon State should be able to handle them. But if they play like they did against New Mexico State, San Diego might be in the driver's seat coming out of this regional or against New Mexico State. I think I said it earlier, but San Diego can be in the driver's seat coming out of this one, and Vanderbilt maybe 0-2. New Mexico State looked like they could hit the ball just a little bit, but you never know with that Vanderbilt team. Maybe they find it right now.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing. New Mexico State has one kid with 21 home runs and 62 RBIs. They don't have another person in double digits. So they got one big guy, and the rest of the team just sets him up. So luckily he didn't do damage last night. But, they only had 4 hits, and they still scored 4 runs, which is impressive. Going down to it, though, just looking at it, who knows what's going to happen down here. It's supposed to rain, 90% chance of rain all day. So but the turf field, they're going to get those games in. It's just going to be elongated. They'll shut down when the rain's too hard. So moving on to the next one here, Vautech beating Wright State 15-9. Wright State didn't necessarily look like a 4 seed in that one. And then Columbia beating Gonzaga 8-2. AJ, all season I've been pumping up Gonzaga, Columbia. What happened there?
I think they proved that smart kids can play baseball too. Teams that come out of the Ivy League are always dangerous, but never seem to be able to, put their stamp on the postseason. And I think, Columbia being a 3 seed really surprised some people. They probably thought, so a school like Central Michigan that people just assumed would be in the tournament all year, or, maybe a team like Wright State who can swing it, that they would be the last 3 seed, and Columbia, the Ivy League school, would be the 4 seed. They play real baseball up there. And I think, they probably got overlooked, and we saw what happened. You can't overlook Columbia. They're a great baseball school. They have a great history up there, and they can play the right way, and Gonzaga just simply wasn't ready to show up.
Yeah, through their ace, they showed up. They were not ready to play. Like you said, they came in, they were not ready to go. No, when you look at this one here, we've been saying it for a while. Wright State should probably not have been a 4 seed. Little unfortunate they had to play Vautech. What did you see most from that Wright State team that impressed you?
Yeah, they're just a good team. They know how to hit. You can tell that they've been around the block a few times. They're always in the NCAA tournament. We would like to see them finally get over that hump and win some games, but they're a very good team. They are kind of like in Columbia's place where they're a 4 on the resume, but they could have been a 3 seed. They're a pretty good team. I'm really excited to see them play Gonzaga today. That'll be an interesting game because they've got some firepower to them, and we want to see them win because they're a fun team. They're kind of like Campbell in the sense that they've been around for a long time. They just don't really have that little zip that they need to finally get over that hump and win. Virginia Tech pulled away late, but that was a back and forth game for quite a bit. I was watching that one a lot.
Yeah, that was a very close game there for a long time. Speaking of, battling back here, Alex, Gonzaga, they wanted to be a host team. They come in here as a 2 seed feeling a little disrespected, and then they get beat up. Do they turn it around against this Wright State team, or do they just, tuck their tails and go away?
I mean, I'd like to see them have some fight in them. They should win against Wright State. I mean, Wright State is a good team, but Gonzaga is a more talented team. Gonzaga should win that game, but, we'll see. I kind of wonder if the travel from West Coast to East Coast had anything to do with it. The jet lag, you're playing 3 hours sooner than you're used to and all this stuff. So I don't know if that played into it at all, but they better figure it out. They're going to be bounced real quick.
Yeah, and you never know. They're college kids, so you never know what they're thinking, how they're feeling, when they show up. But they certainly were not ready to go against Columbia, and Columbia came out on all firing. So, Jake, tell us about the Vautech. We know you want to. Let us have it.
They looked really, really good. I know people are going to look at the runs that they allowed, but, after Hack, they really didn't throw any of their good bullpen guys. And I know a lot of the 1 seeds put up big run totals, but Wright State kind of had a little bit different feel just because they have so much postseason experience. And then, the game that everybody wanted to see, Gonzaga, Virginia Tech, it doesn't look like we're going to get it. Because I'm going to be honest, I think they're going to lose to Wright State today. I think Gonzaga's the moment's kind of getting a little bit too big for them. Wright State's been here before. I guess just the magic of Lou Gehrig day yesterday carried over for Columbia. But I think that they're going to be, the first surprise out in a tournament that really doesn't seem to have that many surprises. I could see Gonzaga being the big surprise.
Yeah, I think right now you're looking at the biggest surprises probably between Gonzaga and Vandy. Which one's going to be eliminated first there? Both those teams are on elimination games. Anybody got anybody other than Vautech in this one? I think we were Vautech across the board on this one again, guys.
Yeah, I think Vodtech being able to put up the numbers they did yesterday is huge. Yet we know Wright State doesn't have the strongest pitching staff, but when you go into a game knowing you're going to have to put up a ton of runs to handily win, it could be, Virginia Tech maybe didn't expect to be in the situation to start the year. Could have been a little too much pressure right away. And I think they handled it well, coming out firing right away, responding when Wright State put up runs. I think that bodes well for Virginia Tech throughout the rest of the postseason.
Agreed. I think that they just keep rolling. I think that they move on, and they're going to be waiting for the winner of that Gainesville regional here. But it's going into the next one. Texas A&M 8, Oral Roberts 2, and then Louisiana Raging Cajuns 7 beating TCU. Noah, this was set up to have TCU play Texas A&M. They kind of blew it. Are they going to get all the way back, or is they going to go home and lose to Oral Roberts today? That Oral Roberts team's not bad.
Yeah, there's one thing that the committee loves. It's TCU playing A&M in the NCAA tournament, and they are devastated that TCU couldn't beat the Raging Cajuns, who are a very good team. But TCU should have won that game. They're more talented. They were in it the whole time. Louisiana wanted to pull away. They never did. I don't know what happened, but yeah, A&M, great team, good win for them. But I want to see him play TCU. I'm not really interested in A&M Louisiana as much as I am some of these other regionals. Maybe I'll check it out. But TCU A&M would have been the top of my billing. So I'm sure the committee will press the Buffalo Wild Wings buttons and
Get them in there.
Oh, that's I looked at this and A&M, Jake, looked pretty laissez-faire in that game. I think they got to come out a little bit hotter here against Louisiana, who's a 40-win team this year. Can Texas A&M turn it here, and who are they going with on the mound?
I do. I think they still have their ace, Dittmer. I think Dittmer's going to go today. But, I mean, A&M and Louisiana do kind of feel like very similar teams. They both, didn't really have, totally high expectations, had maybe some disappointing early season ones. And then they both seem to be getting hot at the right time. And it does kind of feel like yesterday was kind of a drag on, like almost like a midweek game that everybody kind of just assumed A&M was going to win. And they did get punched in the mouth a little bit by Oral Roberts, and their pitcher pitched really good. They just kind of ran out of gas at the end. But, yeah, I actually made a bet with one of my coworkers about A&M TCU, and it looks like the bet's going to be a wash because they're not going to get to play.
They're not going to play each other. Alex, being an LSU fan, do you root for this Louisiana Lafayette team, or you just kind of hope that they just go away silently?
No, I mean, when they're not playing LSU, I'll root for them. I mean, it's Louisiana baseball. It's fun, and LSU plays Louisiana every year. ULL, they're the little brother. They don't like to admit that they're the little brother, but they're the little brother. But yeah, they're traditionally a very good baseball program down there in Lafayette, and they're not going to be scared at all of Texas A&M. They're not going to be scared of Bluebell Park. That atmosphere isn't going to intimidate them, and they're going to be ready to play. So Texas A&M better be ready to play, or they're going to get surprised.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a little bit more of a shootout than people are ready for, and I'm excited for that one. AJ, what was your big takeaway from this one?
My big takeaway is that Louisiana Lafayette can still host a super regional, which is what I want to see. I want to see that environment. Every postseason that Louisiana gets in, I'm sitting there going, how can I get postseason ball in that stadium with those Raging Cajuns just going crazy? And path still exists. So
I love it. I think we all love seeing those ballparks get that, looking at USM last night, that was cool to see down there. So I agree. Let's see the small ballparks get up. I think most people have A&M still in this one. I'm still going A&M hard on this one. I think that they still are the best team in that region, but I'd love to see a good game tonight with ULL. All right. We don't even have to talk about the next one, Miami Regional. They're not even playing yet, so we're not even going to get into it.
I did have a note on that one.
They should be playing today, right?
It's potentially Hurricane Alex. That's kind of how it's setting up. That's going to be the Hurricane. It's Hurricane Alex.
I know that they're trying to play this morning. Has anybody seen any?
Pushed it.
They pushed it already?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the radar. They're not playing today.
So, yeah, that's what I was saying. The NCAA's got to step in and move that region. Like, that's just unfair to those teams to be sitting down there not playing. They have to have all those games in by Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I think it might even be Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday?
I did hear last night that if they don't play any games, Miami wins by default, which
It's true.
I didn't think they could legally do that, but I guess but if they start, then like if Miami wins their first game and then, whatever happens, the highest ranked undefeated seed automatically wins. So all we need is Kinesis and Ole Miss to win, and Ole Miss will win us.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do down there. That's just a mess. And I know why Miami's not moving, because they don't want to play any of those 4 teams in their region, and they just want to go ahead and get the bid in. So I think the NCAA is going to have to step up and force them to move somewhere. They could go up to Orlando. There's plenty of room up there in the UCF ball club. They could go to Tampa, figure something out. But if they just let them rain this games out because of the Hurricanes and let Miami move on, that's going to be a real disappointment.
I think they should move it to Starkville, Mississippi.
It is turf.
Oh man.
I don't see that happening, but yes, fine, put it there. Give all the free tickets away too, so everybody shows up in that ballpark. Look at the next one here. We got Oklahoma State. This is the 7th seed, took on Missouri State. They won 10-5, and then GCU and Arkansas. Grand Canyon only scores 1 against that Arkansas staff, scoring 7. What's your takeaway here, Alex?
I mean, Arkansas seems to be kind of rounding into form here. They're looking like the team that can make it to Omaha. And I mean, honestly, I think they're going to win this regional. Connor Nolan looked like the ace last night. They didn't have to use Brady Tigert, and I think it sets up well for them. I guess they'll probably go Jackson Wiggins tonight. And I think they're going to win.
Jake, we know that you love Oklahoma State. You put them up and you said, hey, they're going to be an 8 seed. And we all laughed at you. Well, we were wrong. They were a 7 seed.
Well, I do want to clarify that I didn't think they were that good. I think the Big 12 as a whole is not very good. I said they were going to get propped up. But yeah, Arkansas did Arkansas things. I do kind of feel like GCU was kind of one of those teams that I felt like should have been left out just because they didn't win their conference tournament. And they kind of didn't play a lot of those Texas teams, so we don't know how good they were. But yeah, Arkansas came out and did Arkansas things like we expected them to. They really looked like the 1 seed, and Oklahoma State tried everything they could with the bed bug tricks on Missouri State, but I guess they seem to work. But they'll have to get some of those bed bugs over to Arkansas, because that's really the only thing I kind of anticipate is they're going to have to do some voodoo tricks to beat Arkansas today.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we are big fans of the Caden Wallace appreciation accounts. Noah, especially going in here. I think Arkansas's got a good shot, but Oklahoma State, that's a good ball club. What do they do down there to win in Stillwater?
Well, Caden Wallace, 2 dongs yesterday. You got to silence his bat. Oklahoma State's a very good team when they're hitting the ball. Their pitching isn't as great. I assume they saved Justin Campbell. I don't know for sure. But if Justin Campbell's going today, I feel like they're in a good position to win this game. Arkansas, I'm still worried about them, returning to what we've seen from them the past month, even though I also have Arkansas in Omaha. It's just a very I'm scared situation. So you never know where you're going to get with this Arkansas team. If you get on them early, I think you can kind of just keep them out of the game.
They did save Campbell, by the way.
Oh, they did? I feel confident in Oklahoma State winning today, unfortunately.
Yeah. AJ, is this the Arkansas's back moment? Did they finally feel like they were back to life? I saw a little smile from DVH yesterday. So
I don't know. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a team that limped into the tournament more than Grand Canyon. So yes, they should have beat them, and they did. But you're a 2 seed beating a struggling 3 seed. That's kind of how that should work. But they did their job. You can't be upset with them doing their job. It's going to be a good matchup today. I think today is really the barometer of, even if Arkansas loses a close game, then I feel better about their chances than anything that happened yesterday.
Yeah, I think they got to come out and fire in here. I was kind of surprised that they kind of slowed down after getting to 7. I thought that they were going to keep pouring it on and make that game really separate. But, it is what it is. I think they got to come out today and play hard. That's a good game here against Oklahoma State. The next region here, we got ECU and Coppin State. ECU won 17-1, looking like a 1 seed. They are just rolling. And then Coastal Carolina versus Virginia. Nobody wants to play Virginia right now. 2-7 in that one. Jake, we'll take your take because we know you love Virginia schools.
First, I want to say I do feel like ECU lucked into Coppin State. I feel like Coppin State was 64-64, and they played like it last night. I think that's more of a Coppin State being one of 4 teams in their conference, maybe not that strong of a conference. But yeah, Virginia's getting hot at the right time. It does kind of feel like, the center of baseball is back in Virginia. They got VT, Virginia, VCU that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but Virginia baseball never left because it was always on top.
AJ, Virginia versus ECU today. What do you like in this matchup?
I mean, personally, I love how probably Virginia is one of the only schools that won't overlook VCU because they're an in-state team that they keep tabs on. And VCU is a good baseball program. I think that game has the potential to get chippy.
They're playing ECU. Sorry,
ECU. Sorry,
ECU is a different one.
ECU did win yesterday, but we'll talk about that one too because that one's going to hurt Noah later. But yeah, they got ECU, and I agree though. I don't think they're going to overlook ECU either because of being that close.
And ECU probably has the vibe of, Virginia thinks they're better than us because of all the program success that Virginia's been able to have. And East Carolina's never gotten over the hump. And, if I would have told you after the news broke earlier this year about ECU losing their number 1 guy that this would be the year that they were a national seed, no one would have believed me. And I think a lot of people think that, maybe East Carolina doesn't deserve to have that spot. And get the draw of Coppin State. And I think they're kind of we do deserve it. So I think you're going to kind of see some grit out of this ECU lineup. And, maybe not 2 home runs by the same guy in the same inning from other opposite sides of the plate. But you'll see. I think East Carolina is going to give whoever they play in this regional and whoever they play in the super, is my prediction, a tough test.
Yeah, Noah, I know that we love ECU. They were on fire here. The hottest team probably down the stretch. Them and Stanford are 2 of the hottest teams coming in this tournament. Looking at it, Virginia was struggling. I want to know, does Virginia have the firepower to come out and beat this ECU squad?
Well, East Carolina is another one of our certified wagons. So I love East Carolina. I don't think Virginia has what it takes to win this game. I think ECU is kind of on a mission right now. They want that super regional desperately. They've been fighting for it for years to try and get a super regional in that building. And all they have to do is win. All they have to do is keep winning, and they'll get that super regional and the chance to go to Omaha for the first time in program history. And that'll be really, really exciting if it happens. And that'll be in the back of their minds. Virginia is a great team, one of those teams you never want to see in your region, no matter how down they are. Good team. I just don't think that they have enough what it takes to kind of overcome that. I keep using the phrase chip on their shoulder, but East Carolina wants that super regional badly.
Yeah.
So you're assuming Ole Miss wins, Noah? That regional? That's who they're lined up with, is Miami.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Isn't it ECU Miami?
No.
Yeah.
ECU's the 8 seed.
ECU is lined up with your Horns.
With Texas Longhorns.
It's because D1 baseball has Miami ranked 7 as them as 10. Sorry about that.
Don't worry, I got it all written out here, so I got it all broke down for us. So if you have
Miami's paired with Southern Miss.
Miami.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Alex, looking at this game here, ECU and Virginia today, that's a lot of offense. Do we see another high-scoring affair, or do the pitchers actually show up today?
I don't know. I mean, I expect to see a high-scoring game. I expect to see Jake Geloff just do Jake Geloff things. And honestly, I expect Virginia to win. I have Virginia in Omaha. They're one of my Omaha 8. I think ECU is fraudulent. I think the committee looked at the last 18 games of a 56-game season and gave them a top 8 seed.
You know what, Alex? I'm going to go out there with you. I actually have Virginia winning this regional also. I do not believe in ECU. I am not jumping on that wagon. They got a couple broken wheels, and they are all out of axles, so they ain't making it to the Oregon Trail. I am definitely going Virginia here today. I think that they're going to come out with the firepower and get this one. No, I know that pains you to hear that I'm chipping on one of your wagons, but I think Virginia's got enough of it. I think they have the experience. I think they come out and win this one, so we'll see what happens. Speaking of who they match up with, Texas beating Air Force 11-3. That poor kid took a line drive off the face, stood back up and finished the inning. And hats off, man. Military guys are built different. That was impressive. And then DBU losing to La Tech. I don't think that surprised anybody. We all on this program think DBU is garbage and shouldn't even been in the tournament. AJ, tell me something that surprised you here in this regional.
That DBU scored. I think of looking at a 2-3 matchup. This is probably one of the most slanted of just Louisiana Tech is a strong 2 seed, going through Conference USA, winning that tournament. That's always a tough tournament to win. I don't care who you are. Having to play, when you're struggling teams are teams like Charlotte who can still put up 10 in a hurry. And then you have, got to go through Southern Miss. You got to go through, some really Old Dominion. You got to go through some really good schools to win that conference tournament. Dallas Baptist didn't even win their conference tournament. How they got in. Their favorite 3 letters in the alphabet should be RPI. And Louisiana Tech is just a much better team. I have them winning this regional, and it was no surprise for me what they did last night.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech matching up with Texas tonight. What do you like in that one, Jake?
I really like Louisiana Tech in this game. Texas has struggled to find, pitching outside of their one. They've had this lefty kind of come in and pitch really good down the stretch. But if you're a Texas fan, you almost have to win this game today to feel a lot better, because I don't see with their bullpen them rolling through, beating Louisiana Tech again twice, and, winning 3 games in 2 days. This is probably going to be the most important day of Texas' season, in my opinion.
Love it. Alex, another Louisiana team just rocking the boat. I think we all kind of picked this one. We all have DBU way down. They shouldn't have even been in the tournament. They finished 4th in their conference. What do they have to do, though, to beat powerhouse Texas, who probably got seeded a little higher than they should have also?
It's going to be tough for them to beat Texas. Texas, you got Hispanic Titanic, Murphy Staley. Silas Ardwan, they rake. And Louisiana Tech did pitch their ace last night, Jonathan Fincher. They did not pitch their closer, who leads the country in ERA, with an ERA just over 1. And so they've got the chance. If it's close at the end, I think Louisiana Tech wins, because their closer is one of the best in the country. And but it'll be close. I'll actually be at that game tonight, so that'll be a lot of fun. Fun fact: I actually went to Louisiana Tech. I'm a big LSU fan, but I actually went to school at Louisiana Tech, so I'll be there supporting the Bulldogs, and should be a fun game.
And Texas did throw Hansen against Air Force, so they burned their ace too.
Yep. Yeah. They're both going down the number 2s. I think this might come down to bullpen, and I think Louisiana Tech saved a lot more of their bullpen than Texas did. Texas just doesn't have as many arms to go.
Yeah, they don't have anybody to save.
Yeah, there's nobody. They just throw whoever they can. I know, Noah, you are not a big fan of this region. Who do you got, though, tonight in that Texas La Tech game?
Well, Louisiana Tech's not going to lose another game until they play East Carolina next week. So I've got them coming out of Austin. I didn't have it in my bracket. I had Texas, but I'm on the train now. I was listening to Mincy talk last night, so that's not a good source when it comes to college baseball teams.
He's 3-0, I think.
No, he lost his last 2. He went 3-2.
Well, I'm on Louisiana Tech now. I'm all aboard that train. I'll be betting on them today if they're a good enough dog. I'm ready to go. Hopefully they win, because it would be great for my Pirates, I think.
I'm excited for this one. I still have Texas. I think that the offense is just a little bit too much, but if it does stay down to a close game, like Alex said, that bullpen is much better for Louisiana Tech, and I'd like to see this one go a little further. So I don't know. And I know, AJ, you've been down on Texas all year, so I'm sure. Which way are you going on that one?
Again, I got La Tech winning the regional. I actually picked that one.
Yeah.
I just think they're a bad matchup for Texas.
Good. I just wanted to give you another chance to take a shot at Texas.
I think a lot of teams are a bad matchup for Texas.
Anybody that can throw strikes is a bad matchup for Texas. Next regional, we got the number 10 seed UNC took on Hofstra 15-4, and VCU beating your Georgia Bulldogs 8-1. Noah, what has happened to Georgia?
Well, as I said yesterday, I am off Georgia and Dallas Baptist. So anybody accusing me of being allies of those teams are straight liars. I was never fans of those teams. You have no evidence of me being so. VCU, it turns out to be a really, really good team. Not much pitching, but fantastic offensively. Really exciting game between them and North Carolina today. North Carolina is, of course, one of my wagons. VCU is kind of a wagon candidate. Really excited to see that game today.
I agree. I mean, I think that one's a fun one here. I think UNC is the better team here going in. AJ, we know you love the ACC and the pitching. We all are big ACC fans here. UNC looks like a team of destiny. Do they just continue to roll tonight against VCU?
I'd pull the Lee Corso not so fast, my friend.
Okay.
I think VCU is a very dangerous squad. I mean, look what they did. This is what I was looking up when I got ECU and VCU confused. They put up 5 on Jonathan Cannon in 3 2/3.
Yeah.
Like, they did it against good arms, and that's what I don't think North Carolina has an arm better than Jonathan Cannon. And so if they can put up, 5 against Cannon, it might be a slugfest in Chapel Hill. It could be. We could see a very entertaining back and forth game. And just found this out. Evan Russell is available tonight for Tennessee.
He's going to play for Tennessee, or he's available. They're not necessarily
He's available. Yep.
going to play. That's good to hear. Hopefully, like you said, it was just minor health concerns. That's what we're hoping for, that it was nothing major with the family or anything else going on. Alex, you seen this UNC that's been on fire here the last, 3 weeks? What do you see in that VCU game?
I mean, honestly, I think UNC just rolls. I mean, they rolled last night. That was impressive last night what they did, and I think they're Mugatu. They're so hot right now.
I love it. I think that they're going. Jake, do you got anything to say? You're going to go with the Virginia side of this because of VCU?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how we're going to be looking here, but I'm going with Alex. I got North Carolina winning this regional. I think that they're just too hot right now. I think that they cruise along and they get to host Arkansas here next week.
The 2 easiest regionals, in my opinion, back to back, that they feel Charmin soft. Both of them have struggling teams in them.
Yeah, well, Georgia, being the 2 seed there, that was a pretty dead giveaway that was going to be an easy bracket there. Georgia been struggling down the stretch, so still not sure how that one worked out. Look at the next one here. We got Southern Miss versus Army. They won 2-0, the only shutout here on day 1, I believe. And then Kennesaw State, LSU. Alex, I'm going to let you go first since you didn't get to watch the game. How incredible was that comeback for LSU?
I mean, listening to it on the radio was awesome. I mean, everybody thought, most LSU fans were like, okay, well, what are we going to do against Army? How do we come out of a loser's bracket? How do we save as much of our bullpen as we can? And shout out to Devin Fontenot for, as an LSU term, hold the rope, right? That was Skip Bertman's big thing at LSU, right? When somebody messes up, right, you got to hold the rope. And Devin Fontenot held that rope. He shut down Kennesaw State's offense long enough for the bats to get going and then to come to win the game. And then Paul Gervais comes in and does what he's done all season and slams the door. Devin Fontenot, he's an LSU legend already. I mean, he's already broken the record for career appearances. That game last night was just awesome to watch. And it was interesting that Southern Miss yesterday threw their ace, Tanner Hall. I don't know if you could really say that they don't have another. I mean, both their other 2 starters are very good. So it's not like they're dropping off a whole lot coming off, going to their number 2. But, there's not Tanner Hall. Doesn't have 130 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They are top 5 in team ERA. They are a very good pitching staff there. Jake, you got LSU versus USM in that electric ballpark tonight. About 6,600 people are down there with the standing room only. What do you want to see in that one?
I want to see LSU wear their championship yellows. I think if they're in that, I think we're going to look back as kind of the turning point of the LSU season. I think that they looked really, really good for about an inning last night, and I think it's kind of a bigger indicator. They got back to LSU baseball stealing extra bases, working the counts. And it was kind of really good to see a team that had been kind of teetering back and forth, 1 week in good, 1 week in bad, to just play so well last night.
Yeah, AJ, LSU, scoring 14 in that one, and USM only scoring 2. They got better offense than that. Do we see a little bit more offense tonight from USM, or is this game all LSU?
I mean, I think USM kind of got arguably one of the hardest 4-seed matchups. Just based off of Army's offense, and I feel like they had to use Tanner Hall because of how Army works. They get on base and they steal bases, they create chaos. And so you need a guy with 130 strikeouts just to keep him off base. And, he did that 8 innings, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts. He kept him off base. And I think it was USM went into that game knowing it'd be stressful. Different kind of stress tonight. When you play LSU fans are going to want to take over that environment, and it's going to be feisty. It's going to be loud. I think you see balls fly all over the yard tonight. I don't care who either team puts out the mound. Both offenses are going to be fired up, and it's going to be a laser show.
I expect this to be the loudest crowd tonight. I think that is the best ballpark going on tonight. I don't know if it'll be the best game, but I'm excited for it. I know that I'll be down here in Corval, so I won't get to see too much of it, but I will be watching with my little phone screen while I'm in the stands there. What do you got tonight, Noah, on that LSU-USM game?
Well, Southern Miss is another one of my wagons. I'm a little bit nervous about this one just because LSU looks like they're going to come in there with maybe even more fans than Southern Miss has fans in there. Hard to tell when they're both wearing yellow. I wish Southern Miss would do a blackout so we could have everybody distinguish themselves. But yeah, it's going to be a great game with one of those back and forth ones, certainly. And the crowd is going to play a huge role. It's going to be great. Kind of what we wanted in that whole Hattiesburg kind of regional setup is we want it to be loud. We want it to be crazy. And we're going to get a crazy game. I would give the slight edge to Southern Miss just because I think they have the advantage in starting pitching. But LSU is certainly more talented top to bottom than a Southern Miss team.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw this bracket get released, I think we were all hoping that this was going to be the winner's side game. LSU almost let us down yesterday, but now they got back in it. I'm excited for this one. I think this one's the most exciting probably on this side of the bracket. I'm pumped to see this one down there. Looking at the next one here, we got number 12, Louisville took on SEMO, and they won 7-2. And then Michigan beat Oregon 8-6. We hate to see SEMO lose, Noah, but what did you take away from this bracket?
Well, I like SEMO a lot. They're a pretty good 4-seed. Would have liked to see them be a little bit more competitive, but I think Louisville has shown signs of being a little bit too, topsy-turvy. I think Michigan is going to be a team to watch coming out of there. Michigan in the postseason is a lot like Virginia in the postseason. You don't really pay much attention to them, and then all of a sudden they're playing really, really well. That game against Oregon was really fun to watch. They're hitting the ball hard. It's going to be a great game between Michigan and Louisville. Michigan wins this one. Here we are talking about Michigan again in the postseason. Somebody needs to hire Eric Bakich.
They just keep winning games, and I think that they just play up north is very tough. I think it's just brutal to their schedule. AJ, I know we got this game, Louisville. We all wanted Louisville to host this game. What do we see here, Louisville and Michigan tonight?
I think we see a Louisville team who doesn't overlook Michigan, and this is probably the matchup that they wanted. Michigan does have a lot of good talent, and they proved that by beating, an Oregon team who some sites had hosting until very recently. But Louisville at home is a different animal, and they're going to do everything in their power to, just put games out of reach early, which they have the ability to do, partially because their pitching staff on the front end is good. Once they want to give themselves enough cushion to where they go in the winner's bracket and kind of piece stuff later on together. From a pitching perspective, they can't lose this game and win the regional. They can't. If Michigan, whoever wins this game wins the regional, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely gives every team, both those teams, a driving force here to try to get through this one and get the win. Jake, are you taking Michigan just because you can't say Louisville, or are we going with Louisville?
Michigan might be my new wagon. They looked really, really good last night against Oregon. And I forget who I heard it from, but they said that BC always gets better when the weather gets warmer. And I think he might have just misspoke because Michigan just around the postseason seems to just be on another level. They look like the more dominant team. But again, we do kind of need to pump the brakes because Oregon has been so up and down. They've been like the LSU of the Pac-12. So even worse because the Pac-12 is a little bit worse than the SEC. But that's going to be a very good game. And I do kind of have the Wolverines coming out of that over the Cardinals since I can't say the city name.
Alex, what do you got in this one tonight?
I mean, I just think Louisville's just got too much. I mean, they're gonna win. I mean, they've got too much hitting, too much pitching. Michigan's a really good team. They get hot. I mean, yeah, they've got way better uniforms than Michigan, so they're definitely gonna win.
Yeah, I think that this Louisville team is good. I did take Michigan to win the Big Ten tournament. I felt pretty good about that, but I think the Louisville's too good here. And I think Oregon was kind of up and down. So, yeah, I think this is all Louisville. Looking at the next one, the fraudulent number 13 Florida Gators beat Central Michigan 7-3. And our Liberty Flames went up in flames 3-16 against Oklahoma. Oklahoma looked like they were fired up, ready to go. Jake, was that Oklahoma team just upset that they're not hosting, or are they that good?
I think it's a little bit of both. For as much crap as I've given the Big 12, OU really in the last month has kind of played within themselves. They just seem to be getting back to basics, and I wouldn't say they're playing OU ball because OU is historically not a very good baseball program. But yeah, they looked really good last night against the Liberty team that had been really, really hot. And I think that Florida OU game is going to be another one that I'm really excited about. But I think OU has to almost be the favorite coming out of that regional.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely have them over Florida. No, we know your feelings on Florida. They're frauds. What do you think in this game tonight?
Well, like you just said, Florida's a fraudulent team. They don't have much proven pitching depth. They've had some guys step up. I like Peyton Graham to make himself known against Florida tonight. Somebody, our guy Braden Zimmerman, retweeted a tweet of some guy holding an alligator and was like, "Oh, this is how Peyton Graham woke up this morning." So you know he's going to be ready to go. I got Oklahoma. I can't wait to watch. It might be the game I'm most excited for today, just because I love seeing Florida play quality teams and see all 8 of their fans go insane for that atmosphere.
Alex, what do you got down there in the Gainesville?
Yeah, I mean, I picked OU to win this regional, from the get-go, and I don't see that changing. Nothing I saw yesterday certainly changed my mind on that. I mean, I think the OU baseball team's taking a page from the OU softball team, and just, you talk about a wagon. That wagon will run you over.
Oklahoma is a wagon. I did forget to mention that. Thank you.
They are.
They are literally a wagon. AJ, what do you got in this one here in the Florida regional?
Well, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jake earlier. He'd mentioned Oral Roberts is one of probably the best 4 seeds. Central Michigan put up a really good fight against Florida. Andrew Taylor held that offense down. But as you see with 4 seeds, a lot of the problem is they have one guy. Yeah. And, Florida, did damage against the bullpen, but kind of struggled against some good arms. And if you struggle against the good arms, Oklahoma can put you in a hurt locker here in a hurry. They got some guys who can throw Ched, and that offense is relentless. I think it's a bad matchup for Florida today.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma moving forward. I did pick them in this bracket, but I also took Liberty to beat Central Michigan and then go ahead and beat Florida the next day. So I think that Florida is not as good as they were given a seed here. I think that the SEC tournament kind of boosted them for no reason. I got Oklahoma here. I think Oklahoma's just on fire. They really want to win this one. It would not surprise me, unfortunately, that if Florida could somehow win this game because of whatever. But I got Oklahoma.
Yeah, if they still had Hunter Barco, that's a different story.
But 100%. They don't have that guy they're going to dip to right now and be like, hey, we need a win. Go out and get it for us. They got some arms that are nice, but they don't have a dude that they're leaning on right now. Look at the next series. We have Auburn, number 14 seed, beat Southeast Louisiana 19-7. And then Florida State and UCLA, which is one of our favorite 2-3 matchups there. Florida State beat UCLA 5-3. Noah, I know that you don't like Florida teams, but we do like to see Parker Messick throw. What did we see in that one?
Well, I did bet on Florida State, so I was pretty happy to see that one. UCLA has been one of my kind of fraudulent teams all year, even though I've kind of bought more stock in them lately. Florida State's a good team. They have 2 great starting pitchers. I worry about the rest of their team, though. They're a 3 seed for a reason. Should be a pretty exciting game, but if Auburn puts up another, 10 runs in the first inning, that's going to be worrisome for them.
They also had a guy hit a home run from both sides of the plate in 1 inning, which is just incredible that we had 2 teams do that. Absolutely mind-boggling. AJ, what was your takeaway from this one?
My takeaway is that Auburn is here and they are ready to go for the postseason. You know, another team that it would have been easy to see them sleepwalk through their first game, you know, looking ahead. Didn't even, I mean, the Southeast Louisiana guy, starter, didn't get an out. It was, from the get-go, it was just barrels. And that's what you expect out of a 1 seed. That's what a 1 seed needs to do. And we saw that. You know, again, Auburn didn't use really any of their arms. We see them give up 7. I'm not worried about it. Very much like Stanford. And they were arms looking forward to game 2, but the offense was locked in game 1. I think they could cause some problems.
Yeah, Alex, I know that Auburn probably felt a little slighted when people were giving them crap, thinking that they shouldn't have been a seed here. What did you think that offense do you think they just came out with a little bit of firepower because of that, or do you think they were just that good?
I mean, I just think they're that good. That offense has been good all year. I mean, Sonny D is one of the best hitters in the country, and that offense has been good all year. I mean, I was one of the people that said that they didn't deserve to be a host. I mean, I thought certainly Notre Dame over them should have been a host. But, you know, they got the host, and they're doing well with it. You know, I mean, Southeastern Louisiana, I mean, they're a pretty good, you know, baseball team. Sometimes they make some noise. They make some tournament appearances, but, you know, they're not anything that's gonna, you know, blow you away. I mean, they're an okay team. They're a good Southland Conference team, but, you know, they're not anything that would challenge Auburn.
Yeah.
I actually picked UCLA to come out of this regional, so, you know, that pick's not looking so good right now. But Auburn's looking really good, so it's hard to see them losing today against Florida State.
I had Florida State here. I got Florida State beating Auburn today. Jake, tell me that Florida State has enough pitching to stop this Auburn firepower team. Jake has mic issues, so Jake's not going to tell me how Florida State – I think Florida State has enough starting pitching that they're going to be able to stop this Auburn team. So hopefully we'll see a good game here. If those Auburn bats keep going, though, we are going to be in trouble if you're a Florida State fan or if you're a UCLA fan. This is a tough bracket here to get out of if Auburn stays hot.
I will say that even though we all kind of agreed that Auburn has no business hosting, great crowd last night. They had overflow seating, and they were down each line. It was a great, deep crowd, and that was against a 4 seed. So I can only imagine how crazier it's going to be when they have Florida State in there, a team that they have some history with in football, in that national championship in 2013. So maybe they'll get some of those fans out there to say, hey, Jameis Winston, we should have won.
Yeah.
We did win.
I'm excited for that one to be filled up, those stands. Another one like the USM, I think that those are going to be a very exciting game. I was very impressed with a lot of the crowds yesterday. But today is the day that really matters for a lot of those crowds. They're going to show up, and this is the winner's bracket side for all these host teams. So, again, I think it's silly that they don't get a host in their own tournament. I think it's crappy that the NCAA does that and makes them be the visiting team. Whatever. Go on, win, keep going. Number 15, Maryland, 23-2 over Long Island. I know, Noah, you've had them on your wagon list. I did not. UConn also winning 9-8 over Wake was a great game, actually. Watching that whole game was super fun. Noah, tell me what I'm missing here on Maryland, and why do you think they're still a wagon?
Well, look at that crowd last night. I talked about Auburn with a great crowd. Maryland fans came out of nowhere to fill that stadium. What an incredible scene. They had them everywhere. It was so nice to see. If Stanford, by any chance, loses at home and loses their regional, which would be a shame for my wagons, Maryland hosting a super regional would be so much fun, just because that place knows how to get a little bit nuts. But that UConn Wake Forest game, I believe I said that might happen. UConn has a little bit of talent, chip on their shoulder. You guys were all aboard Wake winning this regional. No. This is a wagon regional. Maryland.
I am not on UConn. You know I took Wake. AJ, what was your biggest takeaway from these four teams?
My biggest takeaway is that UConn and Wake Forest are probably two of the most evenly matched, 3-4 seed. I think UConn being a 3 feels like a disservice to them. I feel like they felt like they should have been a 2. And I think, the offenses are going to play a huge part in what happens in this regional. Long Island, great you showed up, but you got thrown in the wrong regional to not have a pitching staff. it is the ball flies in College Park, and it is going to be, we're going to see multiple games still left to be played that'll put up 10, 12 runs.
Yeah. Alex, what do you got in this UConn-Maryland matchup tonight?
Well, I picked Maryland to come out of this regional. So, I think they're going to beat UConn. UConn is a very good baseball team. But I think Maryland at home, I think that crowd makes a big difference for them. And I think they win tonight.
Jake, what do you got in this one here? Maryland, UConn, or Wake, Long Island? What are you looking best for?
Want to give a shout out to my dad for picking Long Island to come out of this regional. They looked really good last night for, I guess, some pregame warmups or something. But yeah, I do kind of feel like UConn and Wake were both two undervalued teams. They're two teams that can really rake the ball, and they're going to give Maryland a trouble. And I do think this is another one of those games where Maryland has to win today, because I don't see them beating, either UConn or Wake twice. This is going to be a very, very tough regional.
Yeah, I know that you guys know that I took Wake Forest in this one. I thought UConn and Maryland are both frauds, but they both showed up and played. So we'll see what happens here. My fraud meter's been all over the board for those two, but they definitely showed up and played. So I'd like to see some more of that tonight. I think Wake also goes on and just beats up Long Island today. So, and then the last regional, we didn't get the home team. Georgia Southern and UNC Greensboro are playing currently. Do we have a score on that one?
2-0.
2-0.
Last time I checked.
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern.
Yep.
The other side of that one was Texas Tech and Notre Dame, who we all thought was pretty good 2-3s there. Think that the committee punished Georgia Southern a little bit for being the 16 seed there. Notre Dame won 3-2. Great ball game. Kind of got delayed by the weather. Kind of crappy when you keep getting delayed and keep getting extending on that game there. What do we see best out of this one, AJ?
I thought we saw kind of a slugfest, like two teams just not being able to deliver a knockout blow against each other, and basically just kind of ran out of time for Texas Tech last night, which is weird to say in a rain delay game that was delayed for what felt like the majority of the day. But it was, Notre Dame is a great team, and I think Notre Dame might be the betting odds favorite to come out of this regional. But it was, a 3-2 just grinder game, and I think, that's how Notre Dame has to win. They don't have the offense like they did last year, just blow people out of the ballpark, and I think for them to hold Texas Tech down was huge.
I was calling it a sluggish fest because it was taking forever for that game to get through yesterday. Noah, what do you see coming out of this one? I think a lot of people really are high on Notre Dame here. What do you think with that Georgia Southern team, Notre Dame? Where are we at?
Well, it's kind of a weird dynamic because everybody thinks Notre Dame has, I'm going to say it again, the biggest chip on their shoulder because they should be hosting arguably a top 8 seed. They should definitely be hosting a regional. And then you look at this Georgia State team. They didn't win their conference tournament. Why are they hosting a regional? I think Georgia State or Southern turns that around, and they're kind of saying, everybody's doubting us now. Let's prove that we should be hosting this regional. They aren't looking extraordinary against UNCG, but they're making contact. Looks like they're in prime position to score a couple more runs. But I think that Greensboro potential Notre Dame matchup or Georgia Southern, not UNCG, could be fantastic. I don't know whether that's going to be later today or tomorrow, what the schedule looks like over there. But
yeah, I have not seen what they're trying to schedule out there either. I do know that I hate Notre Dame, so Alex knows that. Alex, what do you see here in this one here with this Notre Dame, possibly Georgia Southern matchup that we're looking forward to? Is there enough there for Georgia Southern to have that, bulletin board material and go out and beat Notre Dame?
Sure, they can have that, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think Notre Dame's just the better team, and they're going to come out and they're going to show that they're the better team. and they're going to win the regional. I mean, I picked them to win the regional, and then they're going to go to Tennessee, and then they're going to lose to Tennessee. But I think that's Notre Dame's just the better team, and they're gonna prove it.
Yeah, I took Texas Tech because I hate Notre Dame, but I did not have any faith in Georgia Southern. Jake, what do you see in this one here?
It almost felt like a big league game with that Texas Notre Dame. It had a very big league type feel. The bullpens were really good. And I know that we always talk about, losing the first game isn't ideal just because it kills your bullpen. I think Tech is one of those teams that has a really, really deep bullpen. So this almost kind of plays into their favor. But again, this is the one where I think it's going to be Notre Dame Tech coming down to the wire at the end. I really didn't have any faith in Southern. I felt like the committee got it wrong, and they realized they got it wrong, and they put two really tough teams. And then looking ahead, whichever teams come out of this regional is going to give Tennessee probably a 3-game series. This is a very, very tough regional with two very good teams.
I don't think that anybody's giving Tennessee a 3-game series until they get to the World Series, but we'll see what happens here. Final takes here, guys. AJ, tell me the game you are most looking forward to tonight.
God, that's tough.
If you say Miami and Kansas City, I'm gonna slap somebody. But they
I want to say it, but I mean, it has to be. For me, it has to be Louisville, Michigan. Just from this game for me makes or breaks that regional entirely. Yes, there's going to be a lot of exciting baseball going on, but for a 4 p.m. start, I think that's probably the best game you're going to have on during the early part of the day. Yeah. Two teams who have met in Omaha recently are going to be trying to just knock each other out. So that's my game, at least to the early afternoon. We'll see. There are a lot of other games on, a lot of great games on late, but fiance is a Michigan fan, so I'm going to be heavily invested in that game.
Oh, there you go. We like that one. Great atmosphere there in Louisville. We're excited for that one. I think that the crowd will be more into that one there versus where they were this morning or yesterday morning with the SEMO. Alex, I think we know where your head's at, but why don't you go ahead and enlighten us where you think the best game is today?
Well, I mean, best game is obviously going to be Southern Miss LSU. But I'll be at the Texas-Louisiana Tech game. That should also be a fun game. I mean, there's just going to be a ton of great baseball on today. It's the greatest weekend of the season.
Yep.
And one quick shout-out to the moose picture behind Noah. When you lean forward, it looks like the antlers are coming out of your head. I don't know if you planned it that way, but it works out great.
I love it. The Jackalope Noah here. Jake, who you got? What's your game today?
I'm loving that Arkansas-Oklahoma State game. I think it's two teams that we've kind of both talked about as really good at times of year, and then as frauds who have been slumping. It'll be a good barometer for both ones, and that's going to be a really, really important game, especially the way Oklahoma State swings the bat. You definitely want to keep them in the loser's bracket if you're Arkansas.
I agree. I think the winner of that one probably wins that regional there. Noah, you get the last one here. Well, I guess I get the last one, but you get the next one here. Where are you watching tonight?
Well, I'm most looking forward to Tennessee versus Campbell just because I think it's going to be so much fun to watch those teams get together, and the crowd will be kind of interesting because I know there's some Campbell fans there. AJ reported to us, so like a journalist. And then there are several games tonight that are just going to be so good when you look at like LSU, Southern Miss, Oklahoma, Florida. Like Jake said, Oklahoma State, Arkansas. Those are the three that I'm most looking forward to. Like, this is going to come down to the wire. But in terms of excitement, Campbell, Tennessee takes the cake for me. I think that's going to be one where a lot of people are tuning in who maybe they don't even watch college baseball, but that's the one that draws them in.
As a casual college baseball fan and real college baseball fans, this has to be the best weekend in sports for us going in and seeing this here. I'm going to go a little off the board. I'm going to go the Virginia-ECU game. I really want to see if ECU is a team that they've been pretending to be the last 4 weeks here and see if that hot streak can continue. I've been a big fan of Virginia all year. I still have them winning that regional, so I really want to see this one play out. I want to see Geloff go off and hopefully get his team in there in the winner's bracket and stay on the winner's side. So any other final thoughts, gentlemen?
That Tennessee Campbell, the picture of the crowd is going to hurt your eyes. Too many shades of orange too. Yeah. It's going to be hard to watch. If the product on the field wasn't so exciting, that crowd would make it almost impossible to tune in.
Is that dude with the giant baby face mask going to be there today?
He
Some money
is.
now.
He is. He actually tied. He stands up at the top of the stadium, and the Texas A&M flag kept hitting him in the face, so he tied it to the pole, and then just sat down for the rest of the game. And it was one of the more confusing things to watch, like that process go through his head.
I love it. College baseball is great. These fans are outstanding. I think the fans have really shown up at all these ballparks, which is why it's the best thing to have in sports when the 16 regionals. So I am very excited and pumped to see what happens here. Jake or Noah, you guys got anything else to add?
Well, we do have some questions from the fans if we want.
Oh, we got fans today.
Yeah.
Questions. My bad. I forgot to-
We got fans today.
I thought we were just recording this for ourselves. That was all my
Well,
fault there.
We got a couple of them on Twitter. I don't know if we have any YouTube ones. I'll just read off one from Twitter now. Haven't you found it astonishing that with not having Mississippi State in a regional, that the NCAA hasn't just canceled the tournament? Personally, I think it shows great bravery on their part.
I don't know. I mean, what was it, 6-7 weeks ago? I took USM and said they're the best team, and I said Mississippi State's crap. So I'm kind of happy they're not. I'm surprised Ole Miss got in, honestly. So maybe that's why the NCAA is not making Miami move, so they don't have to watch Ole Miss play baseball anymore this season.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just be perfect? Wouldn't that be perfect for Ole Miss fans? All the stress about wondering if you're getting in, and then you get in, and you never get to play.
Play 0 games and lose.
If Ole Miss goes undefeated in the regional, I'm counting that as being correct.
Right.
Hey, I would love to see Ole Miss come to Baton Rouge for a super regional.
Me too.
Oh.
You coming though if they do?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Louisiana. All right.
What's that mean, Noah?
LSU fans and I don't mix.
Mm.
I don't even think I'm welcome across state lines being an Oregon State fan. They don't even let me in, so I'm out.
No, we beat y'all. It's fine.
That's-
I don't really like Cajun food. It's too spicy.
Too flavorful.
It's
That's
flavorful.
it's too good. It's too good.
Just give Noah corn. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Unseasoned.
just no butter,
Unseasoned.
no anything. Like,
Just by itself.
Another question from all of our lovely fans. Do you think Campbell has a real chance versus the Vols?
A chance? Yeah, maybe 10% on my side. I think 10%.
I mean, I think they have a real chance just because that offense. But whether a real chance, means they win, I don't think so. But they have a real chance. They're in the game. Like,
They're showing up today.
There's no forfeit. There's no Hurricane Alex.
Yeah. I mean, they got a puncher shot for sure. I mean, it would not shock me if they won the game.
right.
Um,
It would shock me
I
if they
don't
won the
think
regional.
they'll win, but it would not shock me if they won the game. Yeah, it would shock me if they won the regional. It would not shock me if they won the game.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I
Yeah.
really like them in this game. I had them before the tournament. I was gonna say I'm gonna pick Campbell in 13 of 16 regionals. Unfortunately, they went to Tennessee. But I really like Campbell today. I think that this is the chance to kind of show up. They have tournament experience. They have big league talent with Neto. They're going to be a team that a lot of people are going to overlook as casuals, but Tennessee isn't. But I really like Campbell today.
I'm glad they didn't come to Corvallis, so.
Yeah, we all agreed that Campbell probably shouldn't have been sent to the number one overall team. The number one overall team probably shouldn't have gotten Campbell. Looking forward to seeing how that goes down. The second question from this guy, Bank, will the Coral Gables regional ever happen?
No.
I'm going to say yes. They're going to have to get at least 2 games in.
I think each team will play one game. So Miami will advance just because they'll scrape by the Griffs.
In how many innings?
7.
17? I agree.
I heard a rumor that they might be going to 1 pitch down there.
Now, do you know where the Griffins, what city they're in?
Well, I watched them play earlier this year. With that said, I have no idea where Kinesis is. Maybe somewhere in New York?
You could
Always
tell
a
me-
good guess.
You can
Always
tell
a
me
good guess.
Kentucky, and I have no idea. I saw that they have like a buffalo wing milkshake, is what Miami's like
I'm
making.
going to
them.
guess they're
Buffalo.
every New York City I think of has another college, so I can't put a good guess. Maybe like Manhattan, but that feels
I'm
too
gonna
big.
go Philly.
It's Buffalo.
It's
It is
Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's Buffalo.
My guess would have been Albany.
It's the
before-
Buffalo Wing milkshake, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say that should have been our giveaway.
And our final question comes from Kyle Adams. What will college baseball do about that bum live on air spreading lies about Evan Russell and the Tennessee baseball team due to Arkansas bias? And when they don't do anything, why didn't they do anything?
I'm surprised that we haven't heard anything from ESPN yet about suspensions or something. That's going to be a lawsuit. I mean, you're talking about maybe millions of dollars here for libel, saying that somebody's got PEDs and that's why they're out of the game, especially if it was a health issue or if it was a family issue. I mean, those are two things you can't just have wrong information about. Got to fact check. I'm got to fact check. Don't say anything on air without facts.
Well, ESPN Arkansas guys have not done very well in the past week and a half or so.
Been tough
I mean,
for 'em.
we saw, they didn't do anything with the first explosion that happened. I don't think they'll do anything here. Maybe they'll have to because it's more national, but I don't think it gets more. I don't think it gets worse than that. Like for a guy to be out for a game and because, a reporter or an announcer saw a tweet and it was like, oh, allegedly he's out for PEDs. That can't happen. I mean, you can wish a guy the best. You can hope it's nothing serious. That stuff's all fine. Like what we did. We didn't know. So we're just, we hope it's not a family issue. We hope he can return. We hope he's all good. That's okay. But to speculate like, oh, he's out because of PEDs and the entire team's being tested tomorrow, that's not only bad luck for him, but the bad luck for a Tennessee program. It can't happen.
It looks really bad for Arkansas radio and ESPN there. I could imagine that they might sweep this under the rug really fast and just try to go settle and make it not a thing, but it's embarrassing is what it is.
Yeah, Tony V shouldn't let it be settled. He should bring it out and be like, can't talk about my players like this, can't talk about my program like this. And if there's a coach who would put his foot down, it's him. And he needs to, and he'll take care of it.
ESPN Arkansas guys must just really hate catchers with their
Their jobs. They're just trying to get fired.
they're trying to
They
get
just
that
hate their
severance.
jobs.
Well, we do have one question from Twitch. So, which elimination game do you think will be the best game?
Dude, that's a good one. Need to pull up that list.
I
real quick.
personally, because I'm going to go watch it, is the Vandy New Mexico State game. I want to see if Vandy comes live and actually shows up and plays baseball today. So that one's going to be exciting for me to go watch and see if they can come alive and actually. I'd be shocked if a Tim Corbin team goes 0-2 in this region as the number 2.
Gonzaga Wright State could be a fun game to watch.
Great game.
I think TCU Oral Roberts will be a good one too.
That was going to be mine. That Liberty Central Michigan, though, that's going to be two teams with a lot of tournament experience that I'm pretty sure they don't want to fly out of Florida. I mean, if you're Noah, I'm sure they probably lose on purpose to get out of there, but that's going to be a very good game as well.
And then another one comes to mind with Canisius in Arizona whenever that happens.
Wow.
I just like them because they're a Catholic school.
That's probably why I hate them.
Wait, I thought you said elimination game. Noah, you have Miami beating
Yeah, that is
Canisius?
true. I did misspeak. Obviously, I was thinking it would just be rigged and whether
Arizona versus Miami.
Yeah, Miami, Arizona, great elimination game.
And then I've got one question for y'all.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about Tommy Tanks entering the transfer portal?
I think it's just the first domino of many to fall. I think that there will be players that want to either go back to their home state or they're going to want to go get that NIL money somewhere else. I think it's a rough state for certain smaller teams too. They're going to lose a lot of good players.
Yeah, I think the people jumping on right away saying, oh, he's just chasing that NIL money. We can't say that until we know the story. I mean, he grew up a Florida State fan. There's been some rumors all year that he's just wanting to go back home. How he got out of that state in the first place, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But for me, that should be the That should be the story of him wanting to go back home. And if it comes out that, he has a $2 million NIL deal, then talk about it. But I think basically accusing that kid of leaving for me before he has the chance to even go anywhere else is fraudulent behavior.
Yeah, and that's why I said go back home first. I mean, honestly, a lot of these kids, maybe they get homesick their first time away from their families and stuff. Home is a big thing for these transfers, I think.
Yeah, I think NC State, they're probably the most tortured fan base in America.
Every week you pick a new tweet of mine to patronize me with. And we're all getting sick of it.
No, what do you think? I was on my phone looking for it.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I do feel bad for NC State fans. It's just been one blow after another for the last year. So I wouldn't call them the most tortured fan base, but certainly they've had their fair share of misfortunes.
That was a dumb take, Jake. That was
Over the past 365 calendar days, you can make the argument they're the most tortured fan base.
This 365. Yeah, they've had the hardest luck. That's for sure. Oh,
I thought it took you this long to catch on. I've been doing it like the last 6
we know you've been doing it. It's sickening.
we've been keeping it behind the scenes, but it was too much this time.
That's in like my pregame shows. I go and find one of Noah's tweets to see if he'll recognize it.
Well, some of the things are just so brilliant that it's like, oh wow, what a philosopher. And it's become obvious now that you just lick the button with your shoes.
What an original thought.
I don't think Jake's going to be stealing Noah's Georgia to Omaha earlier this year.
That'd be believable. I mean, he'll recognize that one.
Oh, good stuff. Oh, anything else, guys?
Looks like
Let's
Georgia
go watch some
Southern's
baseball.
laying the wood on UNCG right now.
They took control.
Let's go watch some baseball. College baseball fans, another great day. Let's go support your teams. Go out there, take pictures, send us pictures. Also, if you're in the stands somewhere, let us know where you're at. We want to see the crowd excitement.
I have
Let's
no
go.
team anymore, so I can't even say any like go Cox or anything.
I can't go Beavs, man. We got a big one here in San Diego today. So tonight, 7 p.m. So 10 o'clock for you, AJ.
Yeah,
Go
that's late.
Go Griffs.
Okay.
They gotta play a game first. Oh man.
It's kind of unfair.
Uh-huh.
They have to beat a hurricane twice.
Tweet it.
But
Tweet it.
tweet it.
Let's tweet it so Jake can steal it.
Yeah, Jake can say it.
Next week.
Oh man.
Also, just I know Noah had mentioned it yesterday through one of his tweets, but the ESPN coverage with Squeeze Play was on point yesterday. That was from going to conference games delayed by like 15 minutes on their streams to having Squeeze Play being run so well. That was great to see.
Yeah, they finally stepped up at the right time.
Yep. So I'm gonna go flip that on in about 30 minutes, and we're just gonna get this day started.
All right.
I didn't like how they ended before the games were over. Hopefully they fix that.
Yeah, well, that's the West Coast people.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
The Pac-12 probably told them to get off.
Yeah.
Too many people are watching us.
We're like, we got this. Nobody's watching anyway.
Too
Walk
much
off.
football. Shut it down. It ended at like 10:53. Like we couldn't go until 11.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Rooney and Chris Burke had only been on air for 12 hours.
Yeah.
They need the B team crew. They need like
That's
they
what
need
I
the
said.
Jay
They need a
Billups of
secondary
baseball.
crew for Pac-12 After Dark.
Are we getting the call tonight?
Bring it in. I'll go live from the stands.
They need just Bill Walton to pop out.
Just tag us in.
There's no way he's doing anything right now.
I've got 9 Pac-12 teams in Omaha. This is
Oh man.
All right, well,
All right, let's go watch some baseball, guys.
let's
watch
get after
baseball.
it.
There you go.